Imagine for 1 second the perfect magical tool to support you on your growth journey in all areas, with endless creativity options, easy and accessible, aesthetic, girly, that makes achieving your goals easier than ever. It exists, and it's called a good old bullet journal. You don't have to stick to the wish list, monthlies, and bucket lists. You can make it super cute and aesthetic and tailored to your life to keep you accountable and plan everything from your meals, your goals, your beauty, your future, your success, your social plans, monitor your growth, and so much more. And I'm going to tell you exactly how, step by step. This is Nova, and you're listening to the Supernova Shift podcast. I started my first bullet journal when I was about 11, so I've come a very long way, and I know exactly how you can start a bullet journal from scratch like I did, and you will save all the time and the energy and the searching. You'll be so much faster and so much easier. Today, I'm going to guide you step by step so you can have your growth mentor keeping you growing all the time the easiest way possible. Today's episode is structured the following way. So we'll kick things off by explaining exactly what a bullet journal is and how it can boost your growth and productivity, and also explore some of the scientific benefits of bullet journaling, because that's what we're about around here. And then a bit about, here and there, my real life journey and the results from using it since I was a really young girl, how it helped with mental clarity, goal setting, stress relief, mental health, and more. I mean, there's so many benefits to bullet journal, they're endless. And of course, the step-by-step setup guide and the must-have tools to start. The tools that I'm going to list, you don't need to have them. You can start with a piece of blank paper, a blank notebook, and any pen. It doesn't matter. But to make it even more aesthetic and better, it can be really useful to have those tools. And then some inspiration for spreads and creative ideas. I'll give you a list of my favorite, best, in my opinion, influencers when it comes to bullet journal, so that you don't have to search for hours for your favorite or the best influencer. And then some real talk about common dilemmas that we're going to solve. And of course, at the end, a little note on how to make your bullet journal fun, flexible, and tailored to your specific lifestyle. So a bullet journal, or bujo, some people refer it to as that to make it shorter, is a flexible organization system, which is the best in my opinion. It's not just a diary, even if you can use it for that if you want. It's a combination of everything: to-do lists, planners, journals, habit tracker, idea catcher, reflection tool. It's everything in one notebook. Because before, I used to struggle with having 1,000 notebooks. It was everywhere. And then I discovered bullet journaling, and I was like, that's great, because everything is in one journal. I don't have to worry about it. I only have one. And it lasts for about a year, I would say. So you just start with a blank notebook and you design it your way. It can include calendars, schedule, goals, routines, moods, like a mood tracker, dreams. Then you can write your dreams, and then it becomes goals, and then it becomes reality. You can include schedule, grocery lists, to-do lists, everything. It's completely customizable to your life. And the magic is that it makes your mind visible on paper and makes accomplishing your dreams so much easier. It sounds too good to be true, but it is how it works. There are a few setbacks that we'll look into, the dilemmas, but they're very easy to overcome. And, I can use my podcast as an example. My podcast would have never come to life without my bullet journal. My goals, and therefore my accomplishments, would not have happened without it. My social plans and the surprise birthday parties I did for my family and friends would have never happened. I was fourth in my class this year, and my grades got me accepted to my dream IB school, partly because of my killer organization system, call in my bullet journal. The way it usually works with me is I'll write down my wildest dreams. For example, at the beginning of 2025, I was writing my goals and I was telling myself, okay, no restrictions. Just write whatever goal, whatever your wildest dreams are, just write them on there. And I wrote start a podcast, which seemed impossible to me. It sounded like a horrible thing that I couldn't, it was too hard. I didn't know how to get started. And it turned out to be way easier than I thought it would, because I turned it into little goals that I could accomplish one by one. And it ended up happening. Now moving on to the benefits of bullet journal on your life and how it's going to make you more productive, and the scientific evidence on how it makes you more productive. So bullet journal helps you declutter your mind and stay on top of your tasks, your dreams, and routines. It sounds really simple, but it's all in one notebook, and you don't have 1,000 schedules and 1,000 things that you have to look up to. It's all in one journal. You can identify patterns like procrastination or stress triggers to grow forward by doing some shadow work prompts or having some trackers. You can organize long-term goals while keeping track of daily life, and track habits like water or protein intake, sleep, workouts, study time, screen time, etc. And most of all, it's going to create mental clarity and space for creativity and make you feel lighter and less stressed because you're just more organized. There are a lot of scientific studies to support how bullet journaling improves various functions, and the first one is obviously mental clarity and focus, because putting pen to paper reduces cognitive load and reduces stress. And stress is the one thing that makes you age faster. I mean, there are a bazillion studies about this, that stress makes you age faster. So we all want to reduce our stress. And according to the Journal of Experimental Psychology, writing by hand boosts memory and understanding more than typing. A lot of other sources have this kind of evidence. And about typing, I want to shortly talk about X-Tiles. This video is not sponsored at all, but I have discovered this platform, X-Tiles, I think I would say about a year ago. And I was searching for like an online bullet journal platform so that I could have part of it on paper and part of it online, so it would be quicker. And I couldn't find one, but then I found X-Tiles, which honestly, it's free. You can use it for free. You don't have to pay. And it's so aesthetic and so well planned and beautiful. And it's actually it was programmed initially for people with ADHD. I don't have ADHD, but it's just perfectly organized. Like, I really like it. And you have all sorts of layouts that you can fill. There's like meal prep, meal plans, schedules, to-do lists, business plans, there's everything. So I really recommend you check X-Tiles so that you can organize your life on your Chromebook or whatever device you use. Then it also increases productivity. That's a huge one. I have noticed it on myself when on Sunday I do my bullet journal prompts or my bullet journal spreads. I feel much more productive, and when I look on them the rest of the week, I know exactly what I have to do. I plan everything, plus looking at it being so aesthetic and clean instantly makes me feel productive. And studies like one published in Harvard Business Review showed that tracking tasks increases follow-through. Your bullet journal keeps you accountable and organized, helping you get more done in a way that makes you less prone to burnout. And this links pretty well into my next point, because it reduces stress and anxiety, because writing things down creates a sense of control, not like when you write it on the Chromebook. On paper, it's really different. The APA, or American Psychological Association, reports that journaling reduces stress by reducing mental clutter. And even a simple double spread on your schedule, to-do list, or meal prep can ease anxiety because it gives you structure to hold on to. It helps majorly with goal setting. The future log or goal pages allows you to break big dreams into tiny doable steps, kind of like I did with my podcast. And psychologists say that visualizing your progress increases motivation. And you don't have to be a Harvard specialist there to realize that seeing the progress you're making is going to make you more likely to keep going, and that breaking down that huge goal in small steps makes you way more likely to succeed. And another thing is, even if you're not an artsy person like me, it still boosts your creativity and your self-awareness. Bullet journal or bullet journaling blends structure with artistic freedom. I really like structured pages, but you can also include whatever. I mean, you don't have to make it super extremely aesthetic, like Instagram worthy. You can put stickers or, whatever you want. And once you get good at it and familiarized, you can get really creative, and it's really fun. It reflects your mood, your vibe, your identity, and to link into self-awareness, I love doing shadow work prompts to discover more about the hidden parts of myself that are keeping me stuck so that I can move forward and become more self-aware of my toxic traits and the things I'm doing wrong and the things I need to work on. Because if you ask someone like, oh, what are your major toxic traits? And they answer, I don't know. Well, they are, it's important to become conscious of the things that you're doing may be wrong or your toxic traits so that you can move forward. I can see, and I have seen the results from using it since I was a young girl, because like I said before, every single one of my goals saw the light of day with my bujo. I truly started my growth journey with my bullet journal, because I started getting interested into all things health, nutrition, skin health, exercise, and all these things at the same time as I started my bullet journal. And it's the thing that helped me grow as an individual very much, especially with shadow work prompts where I would go really deep in detail in the parts of myself I refuse to see or acknowledge, which is the greatest help of all. And you can't evolve, you can't skyrocket on your growth journey if you're stuck with the same old bad life patterns. You need to recognize them, identify them, and then eradicate them by setting new goals or some systems that will make them unable to survive. It could be a bad mindset or a bad thought pattern or habit, it doesn't matter. Now that we're well informed on what a bullet journal is, what the benefits are, we're going to go into the step-by-step guide. So the first step, you can take out a little post-it note and take notes if you want. The first step is to find the perfect journal for you and the stationery that fits your vibe. And especially a pen that makes your handwriting look cute and aesthetic. Personally, I think that the best journal is dotted, with the little dots that are spaced evenly everywhere, because I think lines are too aggressive and dots allow for more space and creativity. And I don't like blank pages with absolutely no structure, because it makes it hard to make it look really symmetrical and nice. Because when you want to make it symmetrical and so that it looks perfect, when there aren't any dots to support you, it can look funky. So I like when there's little dots. Calligraphy pens are totally worth it. So is quality washi tape that you really like. Calligraphy is easy to learn. I mean, you just have to make it thinner when you go up and thicker when you go down. There's an insane amount of quality, easy tutorials on YouTube. I didn't even learn with tutorials. I just kind of did the thin up, thick down, and it worked really well. I'm not an expert, but it still looks really good and aesthetic. And for school, I would make these little revision posters, and I would do calligraphy so that it would be aesthetic and motivate me to study. And my friends would always be like, wow, it's so pretty and aesthetic. So finding the perfect ink ballpoint pen is also really important, because I've noticed, and you've probably noticed too, that my handwriting is way better depending on the pen that I'm using, and it's different for different people. I don't know what makes it that way. It's really random, but some pens just make my handwriting look really aesthetic. So you have to find the right pen for you. I like using black ink. I think that's what most people use. And when it comes to useful stationery, you can find some really good quality colored pens. I really like also watercolor pens because they allow you for like more creativity and make things look really aesthetic. Calligraphy pens, mine are from, they're right next to me, I can check. Faber-Castell. I don't know how to pronounce that, but that's a really good brand though. They have really good quality stationery. Templates, I also have my little template next to me where you have already pre-cut shapes that you can use. That's really useful, especially if you're not artsy like me. Washi tape, I have a bunch of washi tape next to me. I have these little blue flowers that are really aesthetic. I used recently on one of my spreads, and I have a bunch of them. Stickers, you can find, I really like watercolor stickers. I think they're really cute. And post-its as well. It's really simple, but you can use post-its and like glue them, and it makes little boxes that you can use. Or highlighters, that's a non-negotiable in my opinion, because it just makes everything look more aesthetic when you have nice highlighters. And another plus, something I got recently, is stamps. Like for example, calendar stamps are super useful so that you don't have to write every single day, every time. It's like these little stamps, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like every day of the month, and then you just put it there, and then you have your little monthly, so that for example, if you want to do an overview of the next 6 months, you can just stamp and it's done. Now, moving on to step number 2. As a beginner, you need ideas, even if you're not a beginner, honestly. This is for all levels. If you need ideas of types of spreads to get started and what a spread actually looks like and what you use them for, this is my personal favorite list of all the things I used or currently use or have experimented with. The first one, I'm going to talk about this later and my opinion on this, but there's trackers for, it could be anything, mood, water, sleep, food, protein intake, expenses, anything. There's meal prep and meal plan spreads that are a really good idea. You can do a full-on meal prep where there's every single recipe, like Monday, Tuesday, or you could make a full page with like all your favorite recipes so that when you want to search for one, it's not that hard and you can just pick one out of your favorite recipes. Or you can make a big list of all your favorite ingredients or per season. So all you have to do is just pick an ingredient and make a recipe from that. Like search, I don't know, maybe your ingredient is butternut and then you just picked it and you go on the internet or ChatGPT and you're like, make me a recipe with butternut. It's super easy. You can make a spread with the key glow foods, for example, for your skin health or your hair or your gut health. Or you could take notes of an interesting video on self-growth that you saw. I do that with Tam Core personally, or I used to do that, where I take notes of like the most important things, especially for her mid-year reset. I listened to the video with my bullet journal, and everything she said, I just did it there so that I actually posted on my Instagram. You can check it out, a photo of my mid-year reset page. You can do monthly and weekly recaps. That's really famous with growth questions like what did I accomplish this week, what worked and what didn't, how did I feel overall, what can I do better, etc. As well as mid-year resets, like I just said. But it's a way of checking in on yourself so that you don't stay stagnant. And weekly recaps can also have like your main memories or your favorite quotes or your favorite movie that you saw that week, or it could be also as a memory. And one of my personal favorites, shadow work prompts for self-discovery. You can type on Pinterest, shadow work prompt for self-love or self-discovery or discovery of toxic traits, or there's many shadow prompts that you can do. You can put your schedule there or arrange a nice schedule. So you can plan your friends or your mom's surprise birthday party or any social event ever that you're planning. For example, actually tomorrow I've planned for my best friend a surprise birthday party because it's in the middle of summer and she does not celebrate it otherwise. So I hope to surprise her with this. Then you can put people's birthdays, because if you're like me and you always forget people's birthdays, I hope people don't get offended, but I never remember people's birthdays. It's just not something I remember. You can have keepers for internet resources, a little page with all your passcodes in one place. It's really useful. You can have a simple to-do and just make it really aesthetic, or have a mini vision board. Bucket lists according to the season, like winter, autumn, spring, or summer, or a bucket list for solo dates, for example. Wish lists or your favorite quotes. I personally made a little motivational quote gallery that I go to sometimes. The books that you want to read or have read, the movies or series you watched or want to watch, or gratefulness logs, or a habit, goals, or systems that you want to implement in your life, and break down one big dream into goals, into more little goals, so that it feels more attainable. You can include manifestation prompts, like one that I did recently is the perfect day exercise, where you describe in detail your perfect day in your future life, or a double spread where you describe her qualities, aka your ideal self, mindset, values, how she looks, her style, her boundaries, her goals, how she spends her time, what her environment looks like, who her friends and circle are, what she does for a living, what she studies, etc. It can be a great manifestation tool. You can have grocery lists that links into the meal prep. And also business ideas, mind maps, a growth plan for your side hustle. I did that for my podcast, for example. The options are endless. You can come up with things yourself. There's so much room for creativity. Now, the next thing is my favorite inspiration, my favorite influencers when it comes to bullet journaling. I have 4 here. My 4 favorite influencers are Masha Plans. I started with her. She has like a full-on website and an Instagram. There's Bullet Journal Junkie that I discovered after her. And then there's Rach Lee on the internet. Honestly, I love her videos. I love her style. It's really minimalistic. It's not, too complicated, that there's not crazy drawings or anything. Well, not always. And then Luisa Calderas, that I also really like. So Masha Plans, Bullet Journal Junkie, Rach Lee, and Luisa Calderas are my favorite one. You can check them out on the internet. They're amazing for spread ideas or follow along tutorials. And the first year or 2 that I started bullet journaling, I would always copy someone else's spread for inspiration on the internet. But now I do more minimalistic creative spreads that I come up with myself, where I come up with my own design. I do little simple doodles instead of the way I turned my schedule into an art piece when I was 12. I don't have time for that anymore. So maybe my spreads are cleaner, but just not as aesthetic in the creative point of view. But you don't have to make it into an art piece. Like, it has to be more functional. Or, it depends what your goals are, of course. But the 4th step is calligraphy and doodling. You can learn those, but it's honestly really easy, because I learned calligraphy and doodling on my own as a total noob, as an 11-year-old. I mean, come on. And even though I used to suck, I now, over the years, have made really aesthetic bullet journal pages that have impressed my family and friends. And you can too, I promise you, because it's not that hard. And when it comes to doodles, you can just make cute little doodles that you copy on the internet, or you can have little templates. It's easy to make it look super aesthetic. And even if you don't want to draw, you don't have to. You can use stickers, highlighters, stamps, whatever. And the 5th step is using Sunday or your chosen day where you have time as a reset bullet journal ritual. So every Sunday I would take an hour to do bullet journaling with shadow work questions to reflect on deep things, or plan my week, what the breakfast that I'm gonna meal prep, the workouts that I'm gonna do. Well, during vacation, because the rest of the time I go to ballet classes, so I don't have to do workouts. But or plan the things that I have to do, the to-do list, so then during the week everything runs smoothly. You can find amazing prompts on Pinterest for a shadow work prompt. You can just search like shadow work prompt for healing, for self-love, for feminine energy, self-worth, body image, growth, goals, etc. It is really helpful in many, many ways. We are now arriving at the end of this podcast. Not quite. We have one last chapter, which is the common dilemmas that people have or that I've heard from like friends or family or just random people when it comes to bullet journaling. The first one is, I don't know how to start. Well, use this episode as your starter guide. Or, I'm not good at drawing, I don't have enough time. You can still do super minimalist pages that take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just draw lines or like boxes, stick post-it notes, and scribble whatever organization thing you want to make. You can use stickers, templates, stamps, post-its. You don't even have to draw. Like hell, you can just use a pen and paper. It doesn't have to be complicated. Or, my handwriting isn't pretty, or I'm not artistic. It's not an art competition. You shouldn't compare your things to perfect Instagram pictures that took 2 hours to make and that are not realistic. I mean, the point is that it is useful to you and keeps you growing. The pages that I've posted on Instagram aren't perfect, but they're useful, and I hope I want to inspire other people to start their bullet journal. I don't spend 3 hours or 2 hours making a bullet journal spread that looks absolutely flawless and perfect, so that when people see it, they're like, wow, that's the most beautiful spread I've ever seen. No, it's realistic. The point is that it is useful and keeps you growing. People will say, I don't use it consistently. Neither do I, girl. It does not matter. Your bullet journal will forgive you and you can just keep going. I do it once a week, sometimes I don't, sometimes I skip it. In vacation, I don't do it. It really depends. And it doesn't matter if you don't use it consistently. It can be a goal of yours to use it more consistently, but you shouldn't pressure yourself. It's supposed to relieve stress and improve your mental health, not pressure you even more. Or the last one that I wanted to talk about, trackers. People say, I don't know what to track. I personally don't like trackers that much. They feel forced. They look really aesthetic when you look on Instagram, people who have made trackers, but I never fill them in. They take so much time to make. It can be stressful. And I think it can be useful if you're building a new habit and you want to track it for the first month to get started and build the habit. But tracking everything in your life constantly, just so you can feel super productive, it gets way too overwhelming. You can't just track your meals and your water intake and your sleep and the weather. That's what I used to do at some point when I was younger. I would track everything around me. I would get obsessed with tracking and it would get way too overwhelming. You might just want to track your expenses or something else that's important for you right now. If you really need or want a tracker, just pick 2 things. But, if you forget to fill it in, you have the option of making a little tracker on a post-it note. Just put some boxes that you have to tick and stick it on your wall and fill it every day. Or put a reminder post-it next to your bed. You don't have anything to fill in, just a little reminder. Because if a tracker feels forced or bad, don't do it. I don't track all the movies I watch and the books I read because it's not my priority right now. You have to tailor your journal to your needs. I would say that's the most important thing. I hope that you now have all the information you need to get started. You can check out my Instagram on the Supernova Shift podcast for bullet journal inspiration, healthy recipes, motivational quotes, or lifestyle. And I'll link my favorite bullet journal influencers in the description so you can check them out. The music was from royalty-free music. And the song at the beginning was by Giorgio Di Campo from Free Sound Music. That sounded dramatic. See you next Monday, same time, same energy for a brand new episode.